What's talking? That's right, me, and welcome back finally to a new video. I turned 17 last week and now I got a webcam and a new mic, and I just had to make a video. As you can see, I didn't do my hair and I didn't do my room, so sorry for that, but this is a special video because this video is a review on Oppenheimer and Barbie 2 cinematic miracles that released both on the same day. So I'm very excited to talk about those. I'll first talk about Oppenheimer and then I'll talk about Barbie. So let's get into it. I have a lot of stuff to say. So I hope you guys like this video and enjoy. So before you can really review Oppenheimer, you first have to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Christopher Nolan. If you haven't seen Inception, watch it. If you haven't seen The Dark Knight, watch it. If you haven't seen Interstellar, watch it, because those are all great movies, and you know what they all have in common? They are directed by Christopher Nolan. So when I saw the trailer for Oppenheimer for the first time and I saw that Christopher Nolan was making this movie, I already realized, yeah, this is going to be a good movie. And duh, it is. If you haven't watched Oppenheimer, don't watch this review, watch the movie. It's best to go in as blind as possible. So yeah, but obviously Christopher Nolan, he's at least like my number 2, and you can see in this whole movie that it's made by Christopher Nolan. The good puzzle that walks in the movie and has an epic conclusion at the end. The great scenes and editing of this movie. The great shots that this movie has. It's kind of hard to explain what really makes something a work of Christopher Nolan, but you can see it in this movie. And I think the best thing to describe it is this movie doesn't use any CGI, which is fantastic in this time. The scenes with the explosions, the scenes with the nukes, the big boom boom scenes, to put it like that, all practical, which I think is so cool. Maybe they used a little bit of CGI, I don't know. I don't really know how they exactly did it, but it's Christopher Nolan and he likes to do everything practical, and it's always so satisfying to do that stuff, and I think it adds a little bit of an artistic value to the movie. So first things first, I would like to talk about the actors. There are a lot of good actors. I don't know the names out of my head. The main actor, I think Christopher Nolan picked him because he's also familiar with him. He plays in Peaky Blinders. You probably know him from that, but he's also in The Dark Knight. He plays Scarecrow and all that stuff, and he just does a fantastic job at, well, Oppenheimer, and that's always great. If you have a movie that is about a certain life of a person, it's always nice for the main actor who plays that person to be good at acting. But it isn't just him. Every single actor in this movie is good. Every single actor. Normally, even in super good movies, I have like one scene or one moment where it's like, yeah, okay, this could have been done better. No, not in this movie. This movie is just that good. And that is also a bit of my problem. There are too many good actors in this movie, and I know that sounds weird, so let me rephrase it. There are too many famous actors in this movie. Even the smallest roles are played by high paid actors, and for a movie guy like me, it's a bit distracting sometimes. I have like moments where I'm like watching this scene. Like there's this one scene, I think they talk about, well, the bomb obviously, and it's like all these scientists in a room and I'm like really invested, and then they scroll like with the camera at the actors, and I see one actor and I'm like, oh, I know that guy, and it picks me out of the movie, kind of. It puts me out of the movie, and it's kind of annoying. There are too many famous actors, and it is a bit distracting if you're a movie watcher like me, because then you just be watching a scene and be like, hey, wasn't that guy in The Goblin? Or hey, wasn't that guy in Diary of a Wimpy Kid? Yes, those two guys are in this movie. So yeah, I think there are a few actors that aren't really famous, but I think there are just too many famous actors. And I mean, I get it. If you're a director with that much money, obviously you just want the best of the best, but it can be a bit distracting. But it's like the biggest nitpicking ever. So it's not even a negative thing really. So I wouldn't really worry about it. So if you haven't already guessed, the story is about Oppenheimer. It's about his life. But what I really like is that this movie is kind of like Catch Me If You Can, where it really dives into his personal life, and I think that's very interesting. It talks about his relationships, his kids, his emotional weight that he has throughout this whole process, his battle with Strauss, big one, and I think that's fantastic to see. It's very interesting on how this all revolves around him. But I gotta say, one thing that I really hate about this fucking movie is that Christopher Nolan likes to do something that's called, oh, I don't know if it's called that, but I'll call it vague dialogue. Or I can't hear what the fuck they are saying. He did this in Tenet, and I get it. Maybe he's trying to be more realistic, but it is annoying. I recommend watching this movie with subtitles. I did, but the subtitles were horrible, so it still kind of screwed me over sometimes. But watch this with subtitles, please. I think that's also why the cinema just has subtitles, or maybe it just always has that. I don't know. But this movie is almost unwatchable without subtitles at moments, and it's very annoying. But a bigger thing is that this movie is kind of vague just in general. Maybe I'm just very dumb, I don't know. But there were a few moments where I'm like, yeah, what the fuck are they saying? Or just, yeah, what the fuck are they talking about? What's happening? Not just the vague dialogue, but also when I do hear them sometimes, I'm just so confused. Because, first of all, they talk very, like, realistically. But you don't know everyone. So there are scenes where they're like, oh yeah, and Johnny is working on that then, and then Peter is working on that. And you're like, who the fuck is Johnny and who the fuck is Peter? All these professors have names, and it's very confusing at times. But also just in general, the story is a bit vague at times. I think this movie, it's 3 hours long, which is really, really long. But still, this movie feels super fast, which I'll talk about a bit later. But I, no joke, very hot take, actually think that this movie would have been better if it was 3.5 hours or 4 hours, just to kind of ease the tone a bit, because and explain better, because there are scenes when so much stuff is happening, just go, 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 and I'm so confused, and it feels so vague, and it is a bit annoying for my little dumb brain. If you're a big brain, then you probably get what is going on, but there were moments where I'm really confused that, like, what the hell is happening. But a positive to that is that Christopher Nolan, he keeps kind of repeating stuff a lot in the movie, which also makes sense because those are big moments and they happen. Like Oppenheimer talks or his friends talk about it more and more throughout the movie. So that does make it a bit less fake. Like at the end, I think I understood about 80%. So that's good. At the beginning, I understood -10. So I think that's nice. So I guess it kind of balances it out. The story does have a very important thing where it switches between the past and between the future. It talks about the case that Strauss has, where he's kind of, if I know this correctly, he's kind of suing, or I guess destroying Oppenheimer, and he's saying that he's like a Russian spy or something, or helped a Russian spy, something like that. And that's kind of the future part, and it's very depressing. And then you also have the past part that is just, well, Oppenheimer's life. Like, it's about that the Manhattan Project. Is it the Manhattan Project? I think. But Trinity launch thing, I'm very bad with names, but all that stuff. So the movie kind of balances that, and that it does very nice. So, and that also again helps with the kind of the vagueness, because you can have something in the past and you're kind of confused at what happened, but then in the future it is explained again, and then you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And obviously, last thing that I want to say about the story is that just like every Christopher Nolan movie, this movie has an epic puzzle kind of structure, and the conclusion is just great. Yeah, if you have seen the Batman movies that Christopher Nolan made, not the new Batman, but the saga before that, you always have this like satisfying ending, like, oh my god, this guy did this and this happened that, and then it feels so satisfying. And you have that in this movie again. You have like little elements that are kind of vague throughout the movie, but then at the end they become clear. You're like, whoa, and it feels super cool. So the ending obviously is epic, but that conclusion that works towards it is just fantastic. It's done so great. Like again, I can nitpick all I want, and I will continue to do that throughout this review. But this movie is just fantastic. So yeah, the story is very, very cool, interesting, and also very depressing. But it's artistically well crafted, and it's good to see. So the editing. I'll keep this short because again I talked about it a bit when I did the story thing, but two things I really want to talk about. First of all, there is constant music in this movie. That's not a negative, that's a positive. The music is fantastic, but there's a lot of music throughout the whole movie. That's just a thing I wanted to say in this review. There's constant music. I bet like $5, I bet that 80% of the movie you hear background music. And combine that with the fast pacing and the fast cutting, like oh, this scene is done, boom, next scene, next scene. The whole movie feels a lot like a trailer. And again, that's what I kind of talked about, that they kind of had to make this like 3.5 hours or 4 hours would probably be better, because then you could really like get the emotion. And so I can't wait until like the director's cut is out. But like especially the beginning, you just have music and music, and it just keeps going, and the editing makes it feel very fast. And the editing itself doesn't make the movie bad. It actually makes the movie very good, because it has to keep going, but it doesn't feel too fast. Again, what makes it feel fast has to do with the story being kind of fake, so that's not really on the editing part. So yeah, the editing is just very good. It's very fast. It does feel like a trailer a lot of times, but it's very good. And the music of this movie, I already have a few songs from the soundtrack in my Spotify playlist because it's very good. So that's just great. So combine all the great editing, the great music, the Christopher Nolan, the story, the great actors, and I'll give this movie as a 9 out of 10. Like, bruh, I don't even have to say more. This movie is a 9 out of 10. It's not a 10 out of 10. That's only belongs to Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, best movie ever. Nothing can ever top that or compare to that. But all jokes aside, this is a very, very good movie. It's a very enjoyable movie, and also a very beautiful movie. Again, for the 5th time, watch it. What the fuck are you doing if you haven't already? And if you have, this movie is probably like the best thing since The Boss Baby 2. So, I mean, if that doesn't cut the deal for you, I don't know what would. So now Barbie. I'm just going to do this in one take. This is going to be a rant. The shit I'm going to talk about is a bit confusing, just like the Oppenheimer movie. So please fasten your seatbelts, because I'm about to do the most confusing rant ever. And I'm going to try to explain it, but it's going to be very hard. But basically, Barbie movie. First of all, a way more easier thing is that I'm an OG Barbie supporter. I saw this movie like a year back. Nobody talked about it. I saw the trailer and I was like, yeah, this is epic. And now everybody's hyping it, and it's great. I saw it in the theater. I said this is a great movie, but it has a very, very big flaw, and I want to talk about that in this review. So this movie has a few, I guess you can cut it into parts. Like, yeah, oh yeah, by the way, before I go into this, massive spoiler. So maybe don't watch it if you haven't watched the movie already. But yeah, so this movie starts with Barbie being in Barbie Land, then Barbie and Ken going out of Barbie Land and going to the real world, both having experiences of the real world, going back to Barbie Land, Ken ruining Barbie Land, or ruining, that's super awesome, and then they both come to a conclusion that they're both equal and should be treated equal, and everyone is epic. And you might be wondering, Ron Bunny, that's a very good conclusion, because this movie is about feminism. If you haven't get that already, this movie has a lot of politics in it. It's about feminism. It's about how women have been ruined in society, basically. And, well, yeah, how that really sucks. I don't really know how to put it poetically, but basically that. And the conclusion is very good, because a lot of, I guess, things that talk about feminism, they tend to always kind of put men down and put women up, which I get. It's kind of hard to, go for one side, but at the same time say, well, I like your side too, but my side is just as equally good as yours. That's hard. So what you get is that most of the times, like mostly movies, when they talk about feminism, they tend to kind of destroy men very incredibly hard, and it always comes over so dumb, because what you want to do when you talk about rights for women is you want to say that equal rights are important, not to push men down and put women up. Equal rights. And a lot of movies don't get that, and great thing this movie does. At the ending, it says that they're both equal, and I just love that. This movie acknowledges flaws in our society, and it says that we should both be treated equal, and that's nice. It doesn't just go destroying men, because that's what you want. You want both sides to understand that this is a problem, and that's very good. You might be wondering, Rambani, what's the problem? The problem is that all the parts, especially at the beginning of the movie, when they kind of try to view feminism, are just incredibly unfunny and really stupid. And maybe I don't know, maybe I'm a man, maybe I just don't get the jokes. I'm not a woman, maybe I just don't get sexually assaulted every day. I don't know, like I don't want to attack that side. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I just, from my perspective, I did not find the jokes that Barbie made funny at all. They were all so lame and unfunny. Like the scene where they all dance, and then Barbie is like, I don't know what she says again, but like, oh my god, I've been having thoughts of death, and then everybody's extremely like silent. It's just so not funny. Or like the joke where her feet are like flat and somebody screams flat feet or something like that. It's just so stupid, and I hate it, because this women is about, women. Yeah, what the fuck, this movie is about women, yeah, but it really fucks that side completely, and it's very annoying. Again, like I said at the beginning, this is very confusing. I sound fucking high, I probably am, but it's very hard to kind of summarize this, because it's kind of just the whole movie. Well, the beginning of the first part of the movie is this whole thing, and it's very dumb. Like I was in a cinema and I watched like the first part, and I was like, wow, yeah, this is what I expect. This movie's not funny. And then they go on to Ken, and it's epic. And again, maybe that's because I'm a man. Maybe I just get the man jokes better. Maybe I found it extremely funny when Ken started crying. Maybe I'm just a man and I don't get the women life. I don't know, but just the Barbie jokes are really unfunny, and I hate them, and it's very stupid, and it sucks because it's a comedy movie. I don't know which movie it was. I think it was 21 Jump Street, but I had the same problems with that movie. It's like some joke, no, yeah, that movie. And it was like some jokes are funny and some jokes just are completely unfunny, and it really ruins a comedy movie. Like when Barbie is out, I'm probably gonna watch this movie again, but I'm really not gonna enjoy the first part, because it's just not funny. Like, again, the jokes with Ken are so much more funny. And I know it sounds really dumb that I'm complaining about the jokes in a comedy movie, that they're unfunny, but this is a comedy movie, people. And if the first part kind of sucks, it's very hard to kind of push through to the ending. And that's basically everything tried to be summarized as best as possible, is that the first part of the movie just sucks. It sucks ass. The jokes aren't funny. There are so many just stupid fucking lines. And the second part's really great. And that's probably also why this movie doesn't have a 9, but it has a 7. And I think a lot of people still like the Barbie jokes. It's very American for me, and that's probably why I don't like it. I don't know. But I just really hate the first part, and it's very annoying, because this is a great movie, and it has a very, very good premise. And this movie gets the attention that it needs, because I think in the society now we have to understand that equality, what we are striving for, is important, not putting one side up and the other side down. Because again, like I said in the beginning, feminist things tend to do that a lot, like say, oh fuck man, women are great, but that's not what we should do. We should say that both sides are acceptable and should be treated equal, and this movie does that. And for a kids movie, that's fantastic that they do that, and that's just great. But yeah, again, to summarize it all, the first part is kind of horrible, and that's why I'll say that my rating for this movie is a 7 out of 10, and not higher nor lower, because I think the Ken parts are incredibly funny, and the ending especially is very funny. But I think the first part with Barbie is just completely unfunny, and it really gets me out of the movie, and it's very annoying, because I like Margot Robbie, she's incredibly hot, and now I gotta listen to these dumb lines, and that's very disappointing for a man like me. So yeah, That's my conclusion. I know that probably you're very confused at just what I said, and I probably keep repeating myself a lot, but that's what happens when I tend to rant, and that's why I don't do it. But for this movie, I just had to rant because it really bothers me a bit, and it's sad to see. But overall, it's still a great movie. Still watch it. It's just a 7 out of 10. It's still good. All right, watch the Barbie movie. You're gonna like it. Maybe you'll like it more than me. Maybe you like it less than me. You probably like it more than me. But yeah. And that was my review for Barbie. So I hope you guys like this video. Let me know down in the comment sections what you guys think of these movies. I'll love to hear you guys' opinions. Give a like, subscribe, please. I want to hit 100 subs. And yeah, I'm gonna upload more. So I hope you guys are excited. I am. So yeah, have a nice day.